on leadership qualities. So we will discuss also the leadership qualities which are discussed in the 3rd chapter, or how we can imbibe these principles to become a spiritual leader. So we begin with the invocation prayers. You can open page number 1. You can open for him page number 1 of the introduction, where these prayers are. You need a book, sir? Acha. Okay, then you hear. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So this 3rd chapter, Krishna is speaking about how to perform our action that can enable us to connect with the Supreme and to attain the Supreme. So there is one very beautiful glorification of Bhagavad Gita, which says, Tasmad Dharmai Gita Sarva Jnana Prayojika Sarva Shastra Sarabhuta Vishuddha Sa Vishishyate. So Bhagavad Gita is giving us the path of the ultimate religion. What is the ultimate religion? Is our relation with the Supreme Lord. To cultivate our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord. How? By practicing the principles given in Bhagavad Gita. So Tasma Dharmai Gita. And Sarva Jnana Prayojika. Prayojan means the goal or the final destination. So how to reach to that destination? The final destination is through the knowledge which is there in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva Jnana Prayojika. And also this is the essence. This is the culmination of all scriptures. Sarva Shastra Sarabhuta. Sar means the essence. And Vishuddha Sha Vishishyate. So whoever follows this principles or the practice which is given in Bhagavad Gita, he becomes completely purified. He is eligible to be liberated. So this chapter, just a recap, because we are meeting almost after a month. I don't remember last when I came. Due to festivals and due to rains, could not come. So this chapter begins with Arjuna's bewilderment, his doubt. Arjuna is thinking, when knowledge is higher than action, So why should I engage in warfare? Because through knowledge, what will come? Detachment. And what detachment he was exhibiting? That he wants to relinquish the kingdom and he wants to go and settle in the forest. So he was arguing with Krishna that when detachment is higher, then why are you engaging me in this warfare? So he was not only showing the spirit of renunciation from his attachment, but he was showing renunciation from his prescribed action. So Krishna explained to him that you have to become detached. You have to become renounced from the result of your action, not the action itself. Because anyone and everyone, whoever is in this embodied form, embodied means when the soul is inside the body, in the material body, he cannot refrain from performing action, not even for a moment. And even if you decide that you will not perform an action, many times you do. Especially when we want to give up our bad habits, where we are trapped or when we are embarrassed or where we feel, okay, please come a little forward, yeah? So that those who come, they can sit there. Sorry, we are crammed for space today. There is less space. But Dolamani Prabhu, you sit here. Or you come this side. Abhinav, you also come here. Come here. There will be space. Others can join you. Yeah. So where we were, what we were discussing? Yeah, so Arjuna was thinking that the action will bring so much of trouble, so much of pain and bothering. So easy way is to give up that action. But Krishna inspires him and Krishna enlightens him that purification will come by performing one's prescribed action. This is the sum and substance of this chapter, is that one under any condition cannot give up his prescribed action. Just to give a view again, although we have discussed it so many more, that some of those students who are enrolled here in IARI, under any condition, they cannot give up their studies. If you are in IARI, you are being supported by the country is paying for you, you must do justice. How? By contributing for the research. If you don't do that, what will come? Same reaction will come. Between a husband and wife, if the husband does not protect the family, he does not earn for the sustenance of the family, he'll be inflicted by sinful reaction. If the wife, she does not maintain the house, she does not cook, she does not take care of the kid, what will come? Sinful reactions. You see, society today, they are more inclined to go and work outside. And they want to keep maid who will do the work inside. What will be the result? They'll be inflicted. So that is why we see disintegrating families. Because people are not performing their dharma. So Krishna in this chapter is explaining through Arjuna that you need to learn how to perform an action. Action has to be performed not for selfish aggrandizement, not for sense gratification or selfish motive. It has to be done as a sacrifice. What does the word sacrifice mean? That you give up something. So what we have to give up? We have to give up our own selfish interest. Although we do not know what is self, actually we do not know what is our interest also. That is why Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nate vidu swarth gatim hi Vishnu. Self-interest means they should be knowing what the self is. So how one can know the self? In the second chapter, Krishna explained when they perform their prescribed duties. And Krishna spoke that Mahavakya, Mahaverse, Karmanyeva adhikaraste. So what is the adhikar that we have? Is to perform yajna, which is selfless activity. And then Krishna explained that those who are still not detached, those who are still not in knowledge, those who are in ignorance, those who are wanting to enjoy the results of their action, how they have to gradually elevate. So Krishna gives the yoga ladder. Here, my dear. Don't discuss here, otherwise you will miss what Krishna is speaking. So Krishna tells that there has to be cooperation between the demigods and the humans. Because if the demigods and the humans, if the humans perform sacrifice for the satisfaction of the demigods, then the demigods will be pleased and they will give you profuse necessities for your maintenance and for prosperity. Not like today's world, what is happening. When the crop harvest is complete, when the crop is to be harvested, what is coming from the sky? So much of rains. So it will destroy the crop. So Krishna gives the yoga ladder, he gives the step-by-step elevation that even for material success, even for material maintenance, even for subsistence of body, what you require grain. And to have grains, you need rains. And how the rains will come? When you perform yajna. And what is yajna? This is the most essential thing to know. Yajna is to perform one's prescribed duty. And then from the 13th verse, so those who are at the level of desire, you see there are 4 levels of consciousness. If we see, the first, the lowest level of consciousness is that why do people perform work or action? First is out of fear. What is the fear? If they do not work, what will happen? There will be nothing to eat. How will they maintain or sustain themselves? Isn't it? That is the lowest level. I was once, doing a test research, that people in UK, I was seeing the data there, more than 50% of the people work only because they have to clear their paychecks. They have to pay their bills. Otherwise, they are not interested to work. So that is out of fear. That is the lowest level. But higher than the fear factor is the desire factor. Desire means that there is a passion, there is an enthusiasm to work. Why? Because one wants to satisfy his desire. That is desire. So Krishna, if you see the yoga ladder here, from verse 10, 11 and 12, which we discussed previously, he is talking about the desires. Those who are entrapped in desire, even if they perform these sacrifices which are there in the scriptures, which is karma kand. So what will be the result? Prosperity will reign for all. The demigods being pleased by sacrifice will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigod, prosperity will reign. So this is one first leadership lesson. That if we want to be successful, what we have to learn the word? Cooperate and not compete. This entire material world, everyone is trying to compete with the other. But with competition, we can neither have peace nor prosperity. So what lesson that we learn? And what we have to learn? Cooperate. And to be able to cooperate, what one has to learn is to tolerate. Is it easy to cooperate? No. As soon as we say cooperation, what we have to give up? We have to give up our desire. Then if we impose our desire, then there cannot be cooperation. There will be conflict. So the root cause of all conflicts in the society today is one is imposing his desire. So Krishna is now elevating Arjuna to come to the level of duty. So as we come to the platform of duty, then what we can have? We can have cooperation. Because duty means that you give up your own selfish desires. And then Krishna explains the 13th verse, where he says that out of duty, the devotees, what they do? They offer everything to Krishna. Yagya Sishta Shina Santo. Santo means that those who are devotees, or those who are elevated souls. because they eat food which is first offered. So Krishna is giving a very simple way, the most easy process on earth, how to become free from sin and how to connect with the Supreme. Is there anyone who can sustain without eating? No. There's no one. So Krishna is giving a foolproof way of how to accept food. How? By first offering. So yajna means it is offered to Vishnu or the incarnations of Vishnu. So prasad does not mean any offering to any demigod. That is not prasad. That will not release one from the sins. So if one wants to be free from the sin, very simple thing what he has to do, he has to offer to the Lord and accept for himself and for his family members. What is the benefit? That he will be free from sin. That sinful desires which are there in the heart will gradually be removed. And he will be purified. So any offering to anyone is not yajna. Please be clear. It has to be yajna by Vishnu. It has to be offered to Lord Vishnu, who is Yajnapati, or his incarnations, the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that will purify the person's existence. And then Krishna spoke about the cycle of sacrifice, which we discussed last time. What is the cycle of sacrifice? That when one offers to the Lord, what happens? He is performing sacrifice. And when one is offering sacrifice, what will come? Rains. And from rains, we will have a profuse grains. So this is what Krishna has explained. And last time we discussed that Krishna is now talking about those who have attained the stage of perfection. But still, even haven't attained the stage of perfection, then there is nothing prescribed for them. What is the perfection? That they have realized that they are not the body. They have realized that they are soul. Take a seat, you can sit there. One chair is empty. And what are these souls considered? These are called as Atmarati. They have realized that they are soul, they are Atma, they are eternal. And they take relish, they take pleasure in themselves. For such people, they are ever satisfied. They are not at the level of desire. They are at the level of love. It is Atma Ratir. For such people who have graduated from the level of desire and even duty, for such people, there is no work which is prescribed. But even though there is no work which is prescribed for them, still to set the right example in the society, they have to work. So this section we will see from today. So last time we discussed that in the 20th verse, Krishna said that he gave the example of Maharaj Janak. How many of you were there in the last class? Okay, not everyone, few of you. Okay, so I have just recapped so that we have the connection. So Krishna is giving two examples Krishna is giving in the 20th verse. He is saying, kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. So in this way, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to perform his prescribed duty. Another very important role of a leader is that he inspires. He inspires his team members or his family members to perform dharma or prescribed duty or yajna. And in the 21st verse, today's we will continue from 21st verse. He says why it is important for you to perform prescribed duty. Because Arjuna, you are a hero. You are a great warrior. People take an example of you. And Krishna gives this very important verse. The same verse is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the line is the same. Very beautiful verse. Yad yad acharati sreshtas tat tat eva taro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Yad yad. Yad means whatever and wherever. Acharati. Acharati means, achar means one's action. Action. And Sreshtas means those who are the leaders. Those who are exemplaries. So whatever a leader does, or whatever a person who is in a leading position does, others simply follow. And whatever standards or whatever principles he sets by his actions, others are inclined to imbibe by that. So whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. You see, Modi ji wears a jacket, isn't it? The jacket sale in India after Modi came in power has increased how many times? Hundreds of times. Have you seen? Now people want to wear jacket over kurta. Have you seen or not? Huh? Before that it was not there. Modi ji is having a beard. Now the entire country is having beard. But we don't have beards. So whatever acts a leader does, it is natural inclination for others to follow. So that means there is a very big responsibility. That the leader, if it deviates or if he degrades, what will be the result? He will become the cause of so many others to get deviated or degraded. So there's a very big responsibility. So Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to accept and understand that what big responsibility lies on his shoulder. In the first chapter, Krishna told Arjuna, in the second chapter, that if you run away, you will lose all your reputation. So now Krishna is setting the standard, very important. So all of us in some way are natural leaders. Mother and father are the leaders for their kids, isn't it? So there is a role of responsibility for every one of us. Because if we do not follow the religious path, what we will do? We will make others also become polluted or corrupted. The Prabhupada says that people in general always requires a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. Very important. Not like political leaders who do not teach by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. That is there. You have seen in even families, if the father is smoking or if the father is consuming alcohol, what is the position of his son? From childhood he picks up. And can the father restrict him? No. He has to stop. There is one episode in the life of Mahatma Gandhi, very famous, that once one mother came with his young son and she told Mahatma Gandhi that, Mahatma ji, my son eats too much of sweets. So please ask him to stop eating sweets. And Gandhiji told her that please come next week. You have heard? Next week. Or next month? No, it was next week. Or it could be even next day. One can take a resolve any moment. But he has to be determined to upkeep it. So the next time when the mother and the son came, they met him. So the mother reminded Gandhiji and he told the boy, look boy, do not eat sweets. Your teeth will get decayed. So then the mother asked Gandhiji that I asked you the simple request last time. Why you made me wait for 1 week? So Gandhiji said something very important. He said, because mother, I was myself taking sweets. So for 1 week, I did not take sweet. Now I can tell the boy not to take sweets. This is called achar. Achar means that you apply first in your life and then you preach. That is leadership, that is integrity. And what is hypocrisy? That you tell others to reform and you remain what you are. That is what you will see in Kali Yuga. So that is Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called an acharya or an idol teacher. So in the Indian or in the Vedic culture, we always had acharya. Even if you see, there is professor written. And what is the equivalent of professor in Hindi? I have seen when sometimes I have gone to AIMS. So in Hindi they write acharya. But do they do justice to their position of acharya? No. Acharya means that he himself applies the principle. What he is preaching, he must practice. If he is not practicing, he does not have the potency to preach to others. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra scripture to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. So teacher means one who has applied the principles himself, not only applied, but he has realized it. And then he can enlighten and inspire others to accept it. Then he is fit to be accepted as a role model or a teacher. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that, my dear, what are you doing? You are ruining the future generations. All the Kshatriyas will be degraded because you are such a big warrior, and if you do not perform your duty, if you do not fight, do not participate in this war, so the Kshatriyas will all degrade, they will all become coward. They're very important. Leader means he must take responsibility. We have seen our new Bhakta leader. He's a good friend of mine. He's very strict for himself. We should be more strict in following the principles ourselves. But for others, we should be compassionate. And we should try to inspire them to come to the highest level of principles. But for ourselves, we should not be compromising. Otherwise, one is not fit to take leadership role. Leader means that he is extending to the maximum. So Prabhupada is saying a teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by the human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principle of such standard Shastras. And leader also means that he does not concoct, or he does not speculate, or he does not manufacture anything from anywhere. What is he giving us? He is revealing the pure principles which are given in the scriptures. The one who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. I'll give you one incident of Srila Prabhupada. This is our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya. Entire life he was a shining example of how he followed all principles in his life. You all know in ISKCON we wake up early, Brahma Muhurta, and we participate in the Mangala Arati. So when Prabhupada was in his final days, very old, 1977, what was his age then? 81 years of age. 81-year-old person. And Prabhupada was in Kumbh Mela. Prabhupada had gone in Kumbh Mela with his Western disciples. And in Kumbh Mela, they were on the camp, on the shore of the Sangam. Anyone of you have been to Kumbh Mela? No? None of you. So, I've been a couple of times. So, in the morning hours, early morning hours, it is very cold. And that Kumbh Mela is in the early January, 14th of January. No? 14th of January is the day. Makar Sankranti. Yeah, one of the snans. So Prabhupada saw when he woke up, Prabhupada remained always awake. Entire night he used to give translation. So he saw that none of the disciples were awake. So Prabhupada became upset and he was not satisfied. So he asked that why they are sleeping, why they are not attending the Mangala Arati. So some of them said that Prabhupada, it is very cold. And here there is no provision of hot water. So if we take bath in cold water, then we might catch cold. So what Prabhupada did? Prabhupada, he wore a gamcha, he removed his clothes, he asked one of his disciples to take him to the hand pump and told him to get water from the hand pump. Prabhupada took his lota and started to take bath. This is an acharya. One who shows by his own example. So it is very important that whatever we practice or whatever we preach, we must first accept and apply in ourselves. And leadership position means that one cannot restrict or deviate from the principles. And he cannot manufacture. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that example is better than precept. You have heard, walk your talk. Whatever we speak, we must be applying or we must be accepting it. Then only we are qualified to speak. Otherwise, Krishna has already spoken in the 3rd verse. What he says? A person is a pretender. And in Kali Yuga, you will find such pretenders everywhere. They are not leaders. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees. What is the verse? Anyone know? Mahajana Yena Gatha Supanta. There are 12 Mahajans. Swambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo, Munu. So these standard, these Mahajans. Mahajan means that those who have shown by their example in their life. So our role models, our heroes should be personalities. Those who have performed such yajna, such selfless service to the Lord. Normally what we have today's date, we have film stars or sports star. But what is their personal life? What kind of acharan do they have in their personal life? So are they performing dharma? No. They do not know what is dharma. Their life is filled with adharma. So we should be very careful whom we choose as our role model, as our leader. So Krishna is warning Arjuna that if you do not fight and if you run away, what you will become? You will become a wrong precedent. You will become the cause of fall down of many. And that is the way to progress on the path of spiritual realization. The kings or the executive head of a state, the father and a school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility on their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So, through Arjuna, Krishna is calling for everyone, whoever is in a responsible position, that they must be following the codes of moral and spiritual principles. And then Krishna gives his own example. The next verse he says, 22nd and 23rd verse, he says, Name partasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kishchana nana vaptam avaptavyam varta eva chakarmani. So Krishna is saying that, O son of Partha, there is no work prescribed for me. Why there is no work prescribed for him? Because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his energies, he has everything being laid down. Nor am I in want of everything. This is the reason. Because he has his Aptakam or his Atmaram. He does not have any aspiration to have anything from anyone. Nor have I need to obtain anything. And yet I am engaged in prescribed duty. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are thinking that you can give away your prescribed duty. You think, look at me. For me, there is nothing prescribed. But still, what Krishna became? Krishna became the charioteer. Sarthayam Arjunasya Ado. He became the charioteer. Why he became the charioteer? Because he was to give this essence of knowledge, Bhagavad Gita. And he took the position of a coach, a guide from charioteer. So he took every position. Why? To give the welfare, the highest welfare for the human race by giving them this transcendental knowledge. He did not hesitate. So that is why Krishna is saying that there is nothing for me ordained to be done. Still I am engaged in prescribed duties. Why? To give the benefit to others. So Krishna sacrificed. Krishna sacrificed his supreme position. Still, if you see from the worldly point of view, he was the king of Dwarika. He was Dwarikadish. And still he accepted to become the charioteer. And what he did as a charioteer, when the war was happening on the battlefield, Krishna converted the battlefield into a classroom. He spoke Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield. And on the battlefield, it took a position which was subservient to Arjuna. And Arjuna would give directions to Krishna by tapping on his shoulder, by his feet. So that means the leader should be ready to accept any humble position. See, what humble position, what humility Arjuna is experiencing from Krishna, that he became the charioteer. So Krishna is saying that although there is nothing prescribed for me, but still I am engaged in prescribed duties just to set the right example. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literatures as follows. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram Tvam Devatanam Paramam Cha Devatam Patim Patinam Paramam Parastad Vidami Devam Bhuvanesham Idyam Na Tasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate Na Tat Samascha Abhidikascha Drishyate Parasya Shaktir Vivideva Shruyate Swabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So Krishna is saying that I am the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all of the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kind of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. So this is being established that everyone is subordinate to him. Everyone is lower than him. Everyone is dependent on him. But still, to give the benefit of Bhagavad Gita, to give this transcendental knowledge, what he did? He accepted the position of a charioteer. Why? Because that was the purpose of his coming, of his appearance, to give this knowledge. And he did not hesitate to take the position or the role of a charioteer. So this is very important. The leader means that he is not puffed with pride. If he would be having a pride, will he accept this position? And if he has pride, if he does not accept the position, can he deliver Bhagavad Gita? This is another amazing quality which we see. This quality is seen from the first view of Bhagavad Gita. That the Supreme Lord is taking the position of a servant. How? Because this is his utmost humility. There cannot be any act of humility which can be compared to the act of Krishna. So since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty. But one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of the Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. So Krishna is taking the role of a Kshatriya. And the Kshatriya means that they will fight for the right of Dharma. So how is protecting the Dharma? By he wants that the demoniac kings should be slain, and the righteous king, which is Yudhishthira and his brother, they should be the rulers. So he's participating in this war. And to establish the Dharma, what position he has to take? He has to become a charioteer. But his humility is exhibited here, that he does not hesitate. Although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scripture, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. And then he says in the next verse that if I fail to perform my prescribed duties, what will be the result, Arjuna? Yadi hi ayam aham na varteyam jatu karmani atendrita mama vartamanu anuvartante manushya partha sarvasha. But if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing my prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. This is a big danger. Any deviation, any distraction, it will become the cause of so many others to follow it and fall down. In order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed rules. Otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. That is why we see popularly people have great misconception about his pastimes, and in particular his Ras Leela pastimes. Everyone wants to imitate, but they do not know what is Ras Leela. People do not know Ras Leela. What they presume that this is the dancing of a young boy and many young girls. No, that is not Ras. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required as a householder. So Krishna in Braj Bhumi, when he was in Vrindavan, what he was doing? He was exchanging love with his devotees. Some of his devotees were in the form of cowherd boys, Gopa. Some were in the form of gopis. Some were in the form of cows. Some were in the form of the calves. Some were in the form of trees. But he was reciprocating and exchanging love with all of them. Why? Because in their past life, they all had desired to have Krishna. So here, but when he goes to Dwarika, when he becomes the king, then he is setting the example. Yes, when Lord Krishna, in Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home. When he was in Dwarka as a king, he was performing every action impeccably as per Shastra to set the right example. And then he says that Utsi deyor ima loke na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya chakartasyam upahanayam imam praja. He said, if I did not perform my prescribed duties, all these worlds will be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population. And I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So as people distract or deviate from dharma, what is the result? Result is ruination, suffering. Very interesting that Arjuna was putting one of the examples not to fight. Why he was said? Sankarohi narka eva. That there will be unwanted population. Because if I fight, if I kill the men, the men will be killed, so the women will become they will become polluted. And from polluted women, unwanted progeny will come, which is sankarasya. But Krishna is saying that if you do not perform your prescribed duty of fighting, if you do not perform your prescribed duty of studying, if the housewife does not perform the prescribed duty of cooking, or if the husband does not go outside and bring income to sustain, what will be the cause? Fall down, degradation. That is what has happened now. There is mass degradation of the society. Why? Because none of the people are following their prescribed duties. So Prabhupada is explaining what is Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of the general society. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized. For spiritual progress in life, when Lord Krishna descends naturally, he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessities of such important performance. So why Krishna was so inclined for this war? Because Krishna wanted these rules and regulations to be established firmly. And the demoniac king led by Duryodhana, what they were doing? They were deviating. They were not following. So Krishna wanted to uproot them. That is why the verse which comes is Yada yada hi adharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata aviyutthanam adharmasya. So it is the duty to remove irreligion and to establish religious principles. So Krishna is saying that to perform this duty, I am always engaged. The Lord is the father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly, the responsibility goes to the Lord. Therefore, whenever there is general disregard of regulative principles, the Lord himself descends and corrects the society. This is this verse. Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamiham. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate him. They're very important. We have to follow his instructions. But what people say, that they want to imitate him. They want to go and perform ras. Prabhupada says, Krishna performed ras, yes. But Krishna also lifted Govardhan hill. Can you lift Govardhan hill? No. Can anyone lift Govardhan hill? No. If he can lift Govardhan hill, then he can perform ras. If he cannot lift Govardhan hill, then forget ras. So Prabhupada is saying, following and imitating are not on the same level. There are two aspects. It is Anusaran and Anukaran. So what we have to do? We have to do Anusaran. Saran means you have to follow into the footsteps. When the Ras Leela was at height, what did Krishna do? He disappeared. He disappeared from the sight. That is his renunciation. One of the foremost qualities of the Supreme Lord Krishna is renunciation, vairagya. Do we have vairagya? No. So, the people, because they are ignorant, they are not trained, they are not educated, so what they want to do? They want to imitate. But what we have to do? We have to follow. Prabhupada is saying the same. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting Govardhan hill, as the Lord did in his childhood. It is impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any time. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33, 30 and 31 affirms this. Netat samachare jatu manasa pihi anishvara vinashyati acharam mudhyat yatha rudro abodhi jam visham. Ishwaranam vacha satyam tatha eva charitam kvachit tesham yatsva vacho yuktam buddhimamscha tat samacharet. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servant. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation to Lord Shiva. Did anyone try that? People want to take bhang. I lived in Varanasi for a long time. People want to take bhang. But why don't they take poison? Did you see anyone taking poison? Because Shiva is Nilkant? Is Nilkant? I don't know. There is no scriptural evidences of Shivji taking bhang. But Shivji did take poison. But did you see anyone going to the shop to buy some poison? So this exposes the person. We should always consider the position of the Ishwaras, or those who are actual controllers, the movement of the sun and the moon, as superiors. So those who are at the superior position, those who are controllers like Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, the Supreme Lord himself, what we should do? We should never imitate their actions. But what we should do? We should follow their instructions. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation to Lord Shiva. We should always consider the position of the Ishwaras, or those who can actually control the movement of the sun and moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishwaras, who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean. But if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. I don't think anyone even tried. I not even think. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja and similar intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Ras Leela, or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Govardhan hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions. Nor should one try to occupy their post without qualifications. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Godhead. Every day one incarnation is born. I was coming in the way, I saw a big banner, a digital banner, the billboards as we call it. I could not see it fully. There were many names written and many photographs, and it was talking about some Pandeshwar Dham Sarkar. Yeah. Everyone is infatuated with Bhageshwar Dham Sarkar. So now there are many others coming. You heard? I just saw that. I don't remember what is the exact name which was written because the car had almost passed. But it, just took my attention. So I could find out that there is. So these people will keep coming and this will keep disappearing. Yeah. But none of them, do we know their achar? But they are giving their vichar. Before one can speak, one must become a follower. That is what Krishna is telling here. This is the principle. In the next verse, he says that Sakta karmani avidvamso yatha kurvati bharata yatha kurvanti bharata Uriyat vidvams tata saktas chikirshur loka sangraham. So Krishna is giving another principle. He is saying that sakta means who is attached, asakta. In the 19th verse, Krishna gave the principle. In the 19th verse, he said that tasmat asakta satatam, that you should always remain detached. Karyam karma samacharam, while performing every action. How? Why you should be acting on the platform of duty. When we are not detached, when we are acting at the platform of desire. To the extent we are performing the action to fulfill our desire, there is no possibility of detachment from fruit. So what we have to come? We have to come to the platform of performing out of duty. So Krishna is saying here, as the ignorant person performs his duty with attachment to result. Why? Because he is at the level of desire. If someone wants to there is some rift between two fellow students, and the other one is better and the one is weak in studies, and he has some conflict with the other, and he was, he takes, okay, क्या समझता है अपने आप को? बहुत बुद्धिमान है, बहुत पढ़ाकू है. I will show him. So that becomes the impetus for him to make extra effort. And if he does not come in higher rank or in higher position, what will be the result? He will be into depression. Why? Because there is so much of attachment to enjoy the result. The action is being performed to enjoy the result. And if the result is not as what was thought, then it is very difficult for him to face that situation. That is why we have so many cases of depression. Why depression is there? Too much expectations. Too much desire to enjoy the result. So Krishna is giving this principle here. The ignorant man performs their duties with attachment to result because they are at the level of desire. The learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So Krishna is contrasting. There are two levels of performers. One who is attached and the other who is detached. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person who is too much attached to material activities. But one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, that is ignorant. He is acting only because of his own desire fulfillment. Whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. This is the difference between gold and an iron. Both are metal. Both are metal. But what is the difference? What qualifies to be gold? Because one is acting for the pleasure of Krishna, whereas the other is acting for his own satisfaction. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is inspiring Arjuna, is enlightening Arjuna that you should not think of your personal pleasure. You should not think of your personal pain. You are thinking that if you fight, and in the fight that if you kill, then you will be very much morose. But what you have to do, you have to set the right example. What is the right example? That the Kshatriyas must live and die to protect Dharma. And his duty is to establish Dharma. However painful it is, however difficult it is, one cannot retract or distract. Then in the next verse, I'll take till 27. What is the time? I think it is 8:30 or 8:51. Okay, anyway, I'll try to complete. Na buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samachara. Na buddhi bedam janayet. Buddhi bed. Buddhi means intelligence. And what is the function of the intelligence? Discrimination. Bhed. What is the bhed? What is right and what is wrong? What is religious and what is irreligious? What is duty and what is desire? You should know. When he is acting on the platform of desire, you should give it up. So Krishna is saying, Na buddhi bedam janiyet. One who is not in a position to discriminate. That means he is not in knowledge. Such a person is ignorant. Why? Agnanam karma sanginam. So, not to disturb the minds of ignorant men attached to the furtive results of prescribed duties. So, what the learner has to do? Joshet sarva karmani. Joshet means that he should engage them, or he should inspire them, or here Prabhupada is using the word dovetail them. That means connect them. How? By their work. So such a person, those who are ignorant, those who do not know buddhi bheda, not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the furtive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So this is the expertise of a learned person, of a teacher, or a Krishna conscious person. That however one is ignorant, however one is attached, what he will do? He will gradually uplift and inspire him to become situated in Krishna consciousness. He does not make them stop the work, think that it is all sinful, give it up. No. But gradually what he does? He opens the door for practice of Krishna consciousness. That is what happened with all of us. When I came to Krishna consciousness, I was working outside. So when I started coming to Krishna consciousness, they did not tell me that you don't go for job, you stop your job. Do we ever tell you to stop your studies? We tell you to study better. That is your prescribed duty. You must study. If you're not studying, then what you will receive? Sinful reaction. Yes. If you enroll here and you are preparing for IAS, many, I have met across so many. And so far, unfortunate stories, none of them became IAS. They did not complete their research also. They did not become IAS also. And what will happen to them? Very unfortunate. So Krishna is saying that the person who is expert, this is what Prabhupada did. When Prabhupada went to the West, they were all ignorant. There was no buddhi veda. So Prabhupada engaged them in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because the Americans, these young men, they like music. So Prabhupada encouraged them to bring their instruments and sing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Prabhupada made for them very, very delicious gulab jamuns. So these young American boys and girls used to come. They used to perform kirtan with Prabhupada. They used to sing and play their instruments. And where was the venue, it was in the open park. Hundreds and thousands could participate. Have you seen the video? Tompkins Square Park. Prabhupada is very intensely praying the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and so many American hippies, young boys and girls, they are surrounding Prabhupada, they are singing and dancing. And many of them are playing their own instruments. So Prabhupada used music, connect them to Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada infused in them the Hare Krishna Mahamantra through the means of music. And Prabhupada gave them prasad. Prabhupada, pure devotee, he prepared himself, offered personally, and kept gulab jamuns and rasgullas. Americans, they never knew what is rasgulla or gulab jamun. They used to call it sweet ball. Sweet balls. Sweet balls. And whenever they came across, they would take out one and pop it in their hand. But they were never satisfied with one. And Prabhupada never restricted anyone. They could take as many as they want. And see what Krishna is saying, that by accepting the remnants of the sacrifice, they all became purified. And by chanting the holy names. Very simple way of performing our Sanatan Dharma. Our eternal occupation is by chanting the holy name and by accepting prasad. Just by these two. So Prabhupada is saying here that we should engage them in all sort of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Vedeshcha sarver ahame vedyo, that is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performance of sacrifice, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. That is also there, is always there. Whatever is the level of our consciousness, whatever is our desire, similarly we will find, interpret so that we can see the same end which is meant through the scriptures. So Prabhupada is explaining this principle that here they study the scriptures, and what they see is they do not see anything beyond sense gratification. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification, regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So that is what we discussed last time also, yoga ladder. So human life and animal life, what is the difference? Because animal life, there is no regulation. There is no restriction, isn't it? Is there any restriction for animal life? No. But human life means a life of discipline, a life of responsibility. So how they accept responsibility? When they abide by scriptures, by shastras. And what are the shastras which were mentioned? It was mentioned in the last purports. Which shastra was mentioned? What should be the social and moral codes? Manu Samhita and Manu Samhita in particular. Manu Samhita. So if one starts to abide by the scriptures, even though what he is doing for his material benefit, karma kanda. Like people want to go to heaven. Why they want to go to heaven? To enjoy more. Because what they cannot enjoy on earth, they feel that they will have the opportunity in heaven. But even if they enter the Shastras, the Vedas, gradually their consciousness will be purified. Why? Because they are accepting the authorities of Vedas. And where is the Vedas coming from? From the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all works can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. So, what we tell, that you please chant one round. How many of you have chanted one round? Are you chanting? You are chanting? You are chanting? Every day? Or some days? Every day. So out of 24 hours, Most of the time, our engagement is for our own self, although we do not know what the self is. So that is another paradox. We are in deep illusion. Not knowing what is self, we think we are doing the best in our self-interest. So the self-interest, which Krishna says, is that we should chant the holy name. So at least dedicate 10 minutes of your, how many minutes you have in your day? 24 into 60 is how many? It will be less than 2000. Approximately 1800 or 2000 minutes we have. 1440. 1440. So out of 1440, you give 14 minutes. That is how much percentage? How much percentage? How much? 1%. 1%. 99% for self, 1% for Krishna. Yoga begins. Connection begins. How much? 1%. So make a beginning. Where at least 1%. And Krishna has given the assurance in the second chapter. What is that verse? Neha abhikrama nasho asti pratyavayu vidyate swalpam apiyasya dharmasya prahayito. If you have performed 1% in this life, Krishna consciousness, your 1% is preserved. Next life you will be 2%. Yeah. But in this life, God forbid, if you leave, you have not completed your IERI degree. Can you come back and say, I have completed 3 years? No. Can you say that? Yeah. So, this is the leadership quality. What is the leadership quality? That however attached or however ignorant the one is, but what a leader should be able to do, he should be able to inspire him. From that lower level of ignorance and attachment, that he gradually comes up. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for self gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant, so that is why when the hippies, the hippie culture, the American culture, they were living, they were mixing freely. There was no restriction. So what Prabhupada, some of them became Prabhupada disciples, both the young boys and the young girls. So what Prabhupada did, as a sannyasi, he performed vibha samskar. He made them get married. Sannyasi has nothing to do with marriage life. What does he do? He's already detached, he's renounced. But because he wanted them to become civilized and follow the moral and spiritual codes. So Prabhupada performed marriage sacrifice. Made them become husband and wife. And what these Prabhupada disciple, husband and wife did, big sannyasis could not do. Prabhupada trained 3 of their disciples who were married and personally trained them in Krishna consciousness, and after a few days he sent them to start Europe preaching. And they came to England from America and they started to preach in England. And now you see every city in Europe has ISKCON temple, ISKCON devotees, not imported from India. They are the original one. Big sannyasis could not do that. Why? Because Prabhupada accepted this principle. Joshet sarva karmani. That one should know the art of how to connect others to Krishna. That is the greatest service. Connect a soul to Krishna. That should be the mission of our life. And we get connected and we make others also connect to Krishna. That is Joshet sarva karmani. We had one youth mega event. So there, the thought was very deeply, it was thought by our leader. That was connect a soul to Krishna. That should be our mission in life. That we should try to help others to get connected. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of Lord without wasting for other Vedic formulas. Prabhupada is very subtly saying, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person. That means not all, but those who have in their past performed Krishna consciousness. The Prabhupada is slightly developed. What does it mean by slightly developed? That means he has already practiced Krishna consciousness. For such a person, no step by step. He has to be directly engaged. For him, he has to chant 16 rounds. Many times we see some devotees, from day one, they start chanting 16 rounds. This is the high principle. To be directly engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals, because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So because it is past 9, I will stop here. The very important verse, which I will discuss next time. So here, to summarize what we discussed, so Krishna is inspiring Arjuna. That is the quality of a leader. The foremost quality of a leader is to inspire, not to enforce. What is Krishna inspiring Arjuna? To perform his prescribed duty. He is telling Arjuna, don't remain at the level of desire, but uplift yourself, come to the platform of duty. And he says that if you deviate, if you do not perform your duty because of your overwhelming desire, you will become the cause of degradation, renovation of so many future generations. So become aware, become awake, Arjuna. And through Arjuna, Krishna is giving this a lesson to all of us. If one person deviates, he becomes the cause for so many others. So we have to be very, very watchful. We have to be very responsible. One day we don't wake up, one day we don't perform our service, we can become the cause for many others to deviate. Okay, I'll stop here. Any discussion, question, some doubt? Yes, Ananda.
That there are 4 consciousness. You have mentioned
3. Fear, desire, duty. 17th verse talks about the 4th. 17th verse. Atmarati, love. That is love. When one elevates, then he performs. Why does the mother serve the child? Out of duty? Love. Love. But if the child becomes big and he does not listen to the mother gives him a slap. That is also out of love. But the ultimate love can be experienced in one's relation with the Supreme Lord. Why did Prabhupada marry these young boys and girls? Out of duty. Out of duty, sannyasi cannot even enter the arena where marriage is happening. Why did he perform? Out of love. Because he wanted to give them the love of the Supreme Lord. Okay. Any other question?
The person who is above desire and duty is on the stage of love.
And that means his consciousness is connected with the Supreme. Not everyone can be at that level. Then he can perform anything. He is just an instrument of the Lord. The Lord uses him to fulfill his mission. That is Santa. Prabhupada says Santa. So that is the position when one has gone beyond all the process of purification. His consciousness is very clear. He knows who he is, and he also knows who the Supreme is. And he's also aware of what the relationship is and how that relationship is relished. That is through loving service. So Prabhupada always said 2 aspects. First, what we have to become? Krishna conscious. What we are? We are body conscious. We are not self-conscious. Because we do not know what the self is. We are body conscious. We are absorbed in this body. And through the body, we are thinking we can enjoy. So we have to gradually elevate. How? By performing devotional service. So as we perform devotional service, we come out of the bodily consciousness. And as we come out of the bodily consciousness, what we do? We perform devotional service with more loving propensity. Not out of any result or reward or expectations, but out of love. That is the highest satisfaction that the soul will experience when he performs duty for the Supreme Lord, or we perform the activity for the Supreme Lord just out of love. Then there are no conditions. Is there any condition? No, because he just wants to please the Supreme Lord.
That was the platform where gopis and
Yeah, that is the platform. Yes, yes, very good, very intelligent. This is Buddhi Veda, Janiyet. One who knows where to discriminate. Very good. Thank you. Any question?
So why demigods are satisfied with these animals? That is considered a devotional sacrifice, right?
No, no. See, the demigods, they are administrators of this universal management. So if the demigods, they are given their share of the sacrifice, they are satisfied.
With animal sacrifice.
Huh?
With animal sacrifice.
No, the sacrifice which are recommended in the Vedas, not animal sacrifice. It's a sacrifice which is recommended in the scriptures. Like the Brajvasi, they were performing the Indra Yagya, no? And Krishna made them stop that. So they were very satisfied. The demigod Indra was very satisfied. He was giving profuse rain. And because of the rain, grain was happening and so many things. But Krishna said there is no need. So the demigods, if they are given their share, so they are satisfied and they reciprocate. Yeah. But for a devotee, there is no need. Because if you have the connection with the Supreme, the demigods are automatically satisfied. Okay. But demigod sacrifice is not the sacrifice. That is an indirect. When we come in the 9th chapter, Krishna will speak about it. That kind of worship is avidhi purvaka. Yeah, it is avidhi. He does not say triti. Avidhi. No, it is not. It is not proper. It is not perfect. It is avidhi purvaka.
Okay. 22nd verse, Krishna says that there are 3 planetary systems.
Yeah, yeah. There are 3 planetary systems. The middle planetary system, which is the Earth, where we are residing. Then there is the higher planetary system, where the demigods are residing. In Swarglok, there are 7 levels till Brahmalok. And then there are subterranean planetary system, which is below the Earth. They are called the Patal Lok. There are also 7 layers in that. This is the 3 planetary system. But you cannot go from one planet to another planet. No scientist, no plane or any innovation can go. Not possible. You can only go when you are elevated in consciousness. Okay. One may say that if it would exist, we would see. Not necessarily. And the soul also exists in the heart. Do you see? That means it does not exist. There's so many things, so many subtle. Those things, we are very on the gross level. But the gross is not sufficient to see the subtle level. So how we can reach to the subtle level? By elevating the consciousness. As consciousness elevates, we can see the subtle aspects. So those who were sages, those who were saintly persons, they are empowered. Narad Muni, he is an interspace traveler. What to speak of interplanetary? He can go directly to the spiritual world, come to the material world, go to the subterranean planets. He can go anywhere. He can travel. No one can stop him. Okay. Any question online? Those who are hearing? So we'll end here. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Dinesh. Hare Krishna. And hopefully we will continue the next week. So Krishna will give a very important, very powerful principle that how action is being performed, how every action is being performed. What is the important factor in performance of each and every action of each and every individual? Okay. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, at least aspiring devotees.